and bowl in a doubles competition. Bob Benoit and Del Ballard Jr. are the defending champions, and after qualifying 5th, will look to become only the second PBA doubles team to win back-to-back titles. In order to win 2 in a row, they'll have to defeat twin brothers Mike and Mark Scroggins. ESPN and the Professional Bowlers Association present the championship round finals of the Beaumont PBA Doubles Classic. All right, championship round pair, 13 and 14 here this week at beautiful Crossroads Bowling Center.
A little confusion right off the gate of who's going to start the match. Richard Wolfman will start on the right lane, which never happens. Remember, Denny, that the format here is a Scotch doubles format. You're only bowling on one lane.
Del Ballard on the unlucky, or is it lucky, lane 13, a strike for Del Ballard.
And when we talked to the only right-handed bowlers on the telecast tonight, they said that the left lane was about 2 or 3 boards tighter, and that Del wanted to go straighter, and that's why he chose that lane to bowl on. And the anchor man's going to be Benoit, the old man of the telecast, and he's going to finish on the right lane, lane 14.
Richard Wolf possesses a beautiful game, no question about that.
5-step player, lots of lift and speed. 3-9.
A little light in the pocket. First question to you, with 8 left-handers practicing for about an hour on the championship round pair, how much different are they now than when they started?
Well, the oil carried down to a certain place, and then they cleaned, the PBA lane maintenance crew cleaned the last 15 feet. So really, all the carry down should have happened already, and there should be pretty even reaction, I would think, on the left side of the lane right now.
Good start and a nice cover of the spare.
And we see the style, 5 steps, pushes. Now he's pushes a little late here now. Watch the timing right there. The foot's down, the ball's still going up, so it's slightly late timing. Snaps it through. Looks good there, nice balance.
And his partner Brad Snell doesn't hook it quite as much, but tosses one right in the pocket for an ace.
Brad's a competitor. He'll fight you all the way.
Had a very good chance to win the Masters a few years ago. And then one of the 6 players ever to shoot 300 on national television, Bob Benoit, holds up on the team of Ballard and Benoit.
And he's the only one to ever bowl 300 in the championship match.
Big hook. Tries to settle in the pocket, nearly tripped out the 4, but it also had some company.
For a split second there, you know, that made one more revolution. It might have been 6. 5-step player, cupped wrist. Look at the steady head and the low backswing, the bent elbow right there, the long slide, turns that wrist and hand right around the ball with that medium speed. Now watch how he throws it to spare. How different that is. That's his old style that he had years ago at the spare right there.
I still have a difficult time watching the professionals, either on the ladies tour or on the men's tour, when they don't throw it straight at the spares. Continue to hook the ball at the spares. I don't know.
Well, you know, Mark Ross showed us the way on that years ago.
Excellent shot by Del Ballard, and I had a chance to talk to Del and ask him why he and Bob had done so well in the past bowling doubles.
That's a good question. We both throw the ball fairly slow and hook it quite a bit most of the time, and sometimes I go a little straighter than he does, but he can see things that I can't see, and he helps me out quite a bit with my game, and sometimes I help him out with a lot of strikes.
That was certainly the case this week.
Live ball there. That ball hit about board 16 on the left side and just snapped that 7-pin out of there.
10-pin lead for Wolf and Snell. We should see some strikes tonight, wouldn't you think?
If the practice is anything to judge by, the left-handers really were striking in practice. All of them.
For 3 in a row. A little high, and he'll have to settle for the 9 spare.
Boy, you wanted that one so bad, too. And and the desire to get it, instead of throwing the ball slightly harder, he threw it slightly softer and he crept a little high.
Let me ask you a question. When you're bowling in this format, you're shooting 5 frames on 1 lane. Are you trying a little harder when your partner has already thrown a strike to try and get the double? Is it different than if you would normally be throwing a double yourself?
That's a good question, Den. Actually, the mentality, it shouldn't be, but you know as soon as he gets that strike that the only way you're going to get a double is if both of you strike back-to-back frames. So I would have to say, yeah, you are trying just a little bit harder.
Strike here would put Benoit and Ballard back on top
by a pin.
Oh, he didn't like it the moment it left his hand. Got a big break as Bob Benoit leaves just the 10 pin, and his wife looks on, shakes the head, and says, "Come on, Robert, throw a strike next time."
Lorinda.
Benoit family here in full force, all 3 kids.
Right. He'll straighten it out at the spare.
Benoit and Ballard trying to successfully defend a doubles title, and that's not an easy thing to do. Of course, Dell defended a title earlier this year successfully.
He did in Long Island. Sayville Lanes. See, every time that Dell strikes on that left lane, it puts more pressure on Benoit as he goes to the right lane. There's Ballard's wife, Kelly.
She's looking over at Lorinda saying, come on, get your guy to throw a strike. This action moves quickly as well because players are already ready to go.
Well, they don't have to wait for the ball to get back there.
A little more hook. Boy, bad break there. 5 pin. Was it in front or behind the 10?
I think the 5 went behind the 10 and the head pin went in front of it.
That is a bad break.
And, like a bullet, it went over there too, I'll tell you. Or an arrow.
Pocket just exploded. Richard has a couple of regional titles, but has yet to win on the national tour.
Just a hurry.
Woo. Richard said, no problem. I used a little body English with that shot. And there you see an 8-pin match. Good match here to start.
Brad right now wants to just get him back on track, get something up on the board to work on.
Trying to dance out the 7, but he couldn't quite get the job finished.
It looks like his ball is hitting softer than of any of the 4 bowlers right now. Of course, he just gently arcs the ball. He doesn't have the snap wrist delivery or anything of that nature. It's a nice little roll to back in, relies on accuracy and timing and touch. And spare conversions.
A 7-pin lead for Wolf and Snell, and from time to time throughout our telecast here tonight, we'll be showing you some of the beautiful sights of Beaumont, Texas. Bob Benoit steps up now in the 6th, and his team trails by 7, but they're on a strike. An X here, and they're back on top.
Well, this is the 3rd time that he's had a chance to put an X on the board and give his team the lead. See if 3rd time's the charm.
I bet it is. Couldn't trip out the 4. See Del Ballard up there trying to root that double in.
There are the kids, Janelle, Ashley, and Brandon. Look at Brandon in that little tie.
Kind of like that tie.
Isn't he a sweetheart?
That's
huh?
Isn't that a double Windsor knot? No, maybe not. Okay. He's not even watching Dad. He's watching the camera.
Well, do you blame him?
No. Well, you can see the tense look on Bob Benoit's face, though. He's trying to get the double, but hasn't been able to.
That's the part about doubles. You know, your partner's got to strike, too.
If they shoot a Dutch 200 game, do they get a patch from the ABC? Oh, well, we won't have to worry about it now.
They're not going to, no.
Now, you know what's going to happen now?
Now Benoit will strike on the other way. That's the way doubles goes. Anybody that's ever bowled doubles sweepers or tournaments or just pot games or whatever knows that it can be very frustrating. Straight at the spare. Dead center.
Richard Wolff stands up with an 8-pin lead here in the 7th frame. Little extra time here.
And again, what they're thinking, you know, is just, you know, make a quality shot here, give my partner something to work on. Lost that ball, but the revs coming in just kind of, the 1-pin just barely got the 3, and it's kind of like a bucket crumbler at that time. But it's a strike.
Serious pin action provided that time by Richard Wolff. Brad Snell looks up and says, yeah, a double here gives us an 18-pin advantage.
Brad, when he throws the ball, kind of, it's almost like he poses for a picture in accentuating the follow-through at the line.
Didn't like the rack on 13, so chose to utilize 1 re-rack. They get 2, right?
Per team.
Right.
Same player can use both of them.
For the 18-pin lead, and they have it. Trying to send the righties down here in game number 1. Of course, the top 4 seeded teams are left-handed.
Watch the follow-through. Holds it right out there. The nice soft speed. Watch the 4-pin, second from the left. Snaps that 7 out. Here's his reaction. To me, he seems the most intense of any of the competitors. Third 4-pin and 4 tries.
A little disgruntled. Benoit scratches the back of his neck and says, man, Dell, I really felt like I threw a good shot there.
See, when he makes his ace shot right now, it creeps a little bit high and leaves the 4-pin, and throwing it harder with this style is not in his repertoire.
Said that tonight he felt like he and Dell had the advantage if they could get by the first game because their lanes wouldn't break down and change as quickly as the left side might.
Some merit to that thinking. And they're still in this match. They have a potential 218 final score if they can take it out the sheet. Dell needs to set the 10th frame up right here.
More loft, a little more speed, and that one overreacts, and he leaves the 3-6-10.
But I think that's just an emotional letdown that they just haven't had a strike in 3 frames, and now it's going to be 4. The adrenaline wasn't pumping enough. It just wasn't as good a shot as he's been making. Richard Wolff knows he can step up in the 9th frame and ice this game. Trouble. No, it's all but ice now anyway.
Ballard and Benoit, best they could shoot would be 193, so the dreams of perhaps winning 2 in a row will not come true here tonight.
Well, they still need a mark in one of the last 2 frames.
That ball was light all the way. Don't know whether he lost it or if he needs to make an adjustment.
I think it was just kind of a defensive shot here. He didn't want to go high, didn't want to give him an opportunity. He has an easy spare to make right now. He's already shot a 10-pin. He knows what the ball's going to do. He should have no trouble making the 6-10. And doesn't.
So a spare up for Richard Wolff. Thumbs up look. And Brad Snell now just needs to
keep it on the lane, stay behind the foul line.
Finish out the 10th frame, and that'll be the end of Del Ballard and Bob Benoit. Good run for those 2 guys, though, getting back to the telecast. Six-pin goes, but the 10-pin stands, and Snell and Wolff have survived the defending champs here in game number 1.
And they've got now the first game under their belt. A nice clean game, assuming that he can make the 10-pin here. They should be zeroed in on the pair. It'll be interesting to see if the next team comes on and what they do, the strategy, whether they try and make Richard Wolff finish the game.
And the next team is comprised of Two amateur bowlers, Mike Lichstein and Patrick Allen.
Actually, I think what they'll do, the team coming on, is they're going to have, I think they'll have Michael Lichstein be the anchor. So they're going to arrange the match so Michael finishes the game.
What could have been for Del Ballard and Bob Benoit. Only one doubles team has ever won back-to-back.
Cook and Albee.
That left-handed tandem has captured this event 3 times, more than any other team. Interesting note about this championship, Mike, is the fact that there have been 3, or I guess just 1 lefty team that has won this. That's, of course, Albee and Cook. The rest have been right-handed teams. There's never been a team comprising a right-hander and a left-hander ever to win this tournament.
Well, it could be, you know, in that situation. We were talking to Parker Bone about that earlier, and we asked him why he'd never bowl with a right-hander. And he said, well, if he gets in trouble, he's got no one to try and line up off of or help him with his game. He doesn't know whether it's really him or the lanes, and same thing for the right-handed partner, so he'd rather bowl with a left-hander.
Wolf and Snell already in at 214.
And Bob Benoit undoubtedly will strike here on the fill ball, getting his only strike of the game.
Well, I bet on him a little earlier, and he left before. Got that one way out there, and that's where it stays. Final score, 214 to 180, as Brad Snell and Richard Wolf win match number 1.
Now.
Pins you hear falling in the background, provided by Parker Bone III and Hugh Miller. They're the number 2 seeds.
A little extra time, see where it goes.
Messenger, not today.
Well, he handled the first spare. Let's see, he changes balls now to shoot the 7-pin cross lane. It's a critical spare in this situation. He needs to make it to maintain a 2-pin difference in the match. Never a doubt, dead center. These kids are impressive at 21 and 23.
Well, interesting choice there. He went much straighter at the spare there.
Well, that's what you should do there. Evidently, he felt it was easier initially to hook that ball into the 310.
I agree. Made a wise decision. Critical shot here.
Michael needs to set up the 10th frame.
Lets it rip. And waxes the pocket on lane 13.
Michael's been impressive this whole game. I mean, 5 solid pocket hits, 2 strikes. 7-pin, a 9-pin, and I think a 6-pin. But right now, Wolf and Snell control their own destiny. Strike here puts them up by 12. Oh, whatever he figured out on that lane, he's been dead flush the last 3 times.
Oh, did he like that shot? And rightfully so. He's put his team in a position now to just slam the door.
A strike and 9 and a spare, and it's Lock City.
Snell with 3 out of 4 strikes on the left-hand lane this game.
Boy, they have really answered it. 9 pins is what he needs, and a spare. A strike assures him a victory. 8 or less, and we could still have a different outcome.
Can't do it much better than that.
You know, and you think back that they left that solid 7 back in the 6th frame that cost them 21 pins, and they're still going to shoot 238 in this game. They are really wired for the next match, and they're going to need to be against Bone and Miller.
Perhaps a couple of PBA stars of the future in Mike Lichstein and Patrick Allen. Bowl a wonderful game, but they'll finish 4th this week as Richard Wolf and Brad Snell got the job done. And those baby faces, we may see them on ESPN In the near future.
In the future, yeah. Well, Michael said it in the interview that we had with him. He said, we're not going to have any gimmies out here. We're going to have to bowl well in order to win. And they did bowl well, just not quite well enough.
Powerful shot by Patrick Allen, who has not changed expression.
He certainly hasn't. He can take it out for 226.
Really a joy to watch these young players come out here.
Woo! Was that quick?
Kind of tore that one off, didn't he? All right. Wolf and Snell with the victory.
All day Sunday.
New team and a hot team facing each other here in the semifinal.
I talked to Richard Wolf between games, and basically what he did to make that adjustment was he tried to move the target with his eyes and just tighten up the line really a little bit with a little speed. And the errant shots, he thought it was first with the tape in the thumb hole, but it was basically just how he was getting out of it.
Snell starts with a 5 count.
Well, the only thing good about that is it's the first frame, and he didn't do it in the 10th frame of the last game, which would have been disastrous.
Only the second open for the team of Snell and Wolf.
Well, he hasn't missed it yet.
Well, you're optimistic. If he had made that, you'd have never let me forget it. Of course, I was rooting for him to make.
5-step delivery. And it creeps up on the pins. Now watch the slide, the follow through, and he poses right there.
Here's a classic game for a left-hander. And an X on lane 14.
And Parker, when he's got his confidence, is as good as anybody in the game.
Hugh Miller, a seasoned pro with 5 career titles. And if he does nothing else here this evening, he wants to wish his daughter Mallory a happy birthday today, and he did so with a beautiful strike right there.
You'd like to give her a birthday present.
You're not kidding. Time for Richard Wolf to head back to work, see if he could get something started on the right-hand lane.
Wow, what a start for these two guys. 5 and 6 and donuts both times. In the vernacular, the Greek church and double pinochle.
That's an ugly start.
Yes, very ugly.
Open, open. Snell trying to get back to the pocket, and he does. Now the question is, will Hugh Miller and Parker Bone allow these two gentlemen to get back into match number 3?
I'll tell you what, they're awful good bowlers to spot them 2 opens to begin with. I was busy with the interview and didn't notice whether Wolf and Snell took practice balls on the practice pair. I guess they did take. I was thinking that maybe they hadn't, and they got a little cooled off.
Ooh, this one went wide. Parker has a little room, tried to bring it back, and didn't like that shot.
Parker seems to be throwing harder than anybody.
I think that's normally the case for Parker, though. He does zip it pretty good velocity-wise.
Well, he's got such a nice free swing, and he has such good timing and rhythm when it comes through. It's just snaps it through there.
First time I saw Parker, I had a chance to chat with PBA Hall of Famer Dave Davis, who had seen Parker grow up as a junior bowler and told me he was going to be a sensational player someday, and David was right on the money.
Well, you know, he bowled in that same junior tournament thing that Allen and Michael Lickstein did, and he only won about 6 of them. He didn't win nearly as many as those kids.
Hugh Miller, one of the all-time great championship round performers. Excellent television bowler.
He's an excellent bowler. He just hits the pocket. His carry is not the best in the world. Sometimes he lets that reach him emotionally and reacts with anger.
Richard Wolf, Brad Snell down by 32, but they're on a strike. They could start to cut into that deficit with a double here. Is that the head pin?
That was the head pin.
Oh, slow it down for us in the truck. Let's take one more look.
But I don't think the head pin's what knocked it over. Watch the head pin go over. The 4-pin slides over. And the 4-pin hit, the head pin hit the 4-pin, and the 4-pin knocked the 7-pin over.
Had them dancing in the aisles that trip.
I can cut it to 12 with one more.
Snell trying to get back into the thick of the match. And needs another break and doesn't get it. Boy, that would have helped the cause.
A little soft for the speed.
Strike there would at least put him back in touch.
Plus, it would have kept the momentum going with that exciting strike that Richard Wolf got. Sometimes something like that can just be a spur to get a little extra adrenaline going, and you get really into the match, and the crowd's cheering, and it didn't happen.
On a strike, Parker could advance the lead to 33 if he X's here in the 5th frame.
Smooth style of Parker Bowe.
Nice and rhythmic, sends it out, brings it back, and that's a double.
As good a game as there is in the game today. 4-step player, pushes and steps right at the same time. Free swing. Look at how steady the head is. Backswing over the top of the head, but look at the pivot step. It's right in time there. The timing is perfect right there. And then the nice long slide, and boy, heavy fingers at the bottom.
Hugh Miller says, I'll join you, Parker. Let's put these guys away as early as possible. Parker Bowe, Hugh Miller coasting here in game number 3, and they lead by a bundle. We'll be back with the conclusion of the semifinal right after these messages. Richard Wolf ready to step up and make something happen in the 6th after a re-rack. His team trails by 43.
And as solid as Bowe and Miller look, they got to start thinking that they can't miss anymore. That's one.
Richard says, all right, come on, big fella. Let's get another strike here and give ourselves a pop at this thing, maybe down in the stretch run.
They're in a situation that they could take this game out the sheet and still lose by a bunch.
Shoot 236, but after open, that's about it. And that's what they have to be wondering. Oh, man, if we hadn't thrown those bad shots to start things off, we might have a chance to win this.
Yeah, from what I understand, they did not throw practice balls on the practice lane, and so you just never know. I always thought that you needed to throw just one or two just to keep a little warm.
But you didn't pay any attention to the ball reaction?
None.
Just throw the ball.
Just throw the ball. Pay no attention to the ball reaction.
Good ball reaction here.
Ooh, oh, what a break.
And the break of the week. What? Hugh Miller rooting that one on?
Woo, what a break.
He hit that ball too hard.
Yes, he did. He really catches a handful here. A little soft with the speed. And look at the... Watch it here. See, we can't see what came out and hit the 4-pin, and it fell into the 2, and he almost missed the spare to boot.
A rather interesting frame as Parker Bowe extricates himself from trouble.
Shaky at best, but he got 10 down on 2 balls.
Hugh Miller, as you mentioned, just keeps pounding away at the pocket.
Well, what that does is it sets up a scenario the next 2 frames. Wolf and Snell can get themselves right back in here, but they have to keep striking. Assuming that Hugh Miller is going to make the spare. Parker putting a piece of tape in his ball. Evidently didn't feel right to him. Maybe he lost it, and that's why the speed was a little less. Has to have this one. He's ready. Shot of the week, though, is coming up for these two guys right now. To keep their hopes alive, he's got to strike here. Look at the revs on this ball, Denny. He gets more revs on one shot here than I got in a week.
Boy, just make them disappear all at once.
His reaction, he's ready.
To keep the match. Brad Snell comes through in the clutch. Look at Richard Wolff up off the bench.
It's down to 10 pins now.
Parker Bohn has finished second in this event twice.
See, the thing is that if Parker does not strike here, the team of Miller and Bond cannot lock him out.
More speed. Ooh, what a classy shot that was on the right-hand leg.
See, that just demonstrates how important feel is with that bowling ball. It has to feel right in your hand, or it affects the way you let it go. It affects the way you're thinking in your subconscious. It felt right then. He made a quality shot. Miller now needs 2 strikes to put him away. One at a time.
Up quickly, likes the shot, and leaves the 6-pin. Boy, that was high flush.
And that's been the story of Hugh Miller's career lately on television. He always seems to leave something at the crucial time. Most of the time, it's a 7-pin. They're still in this match. They're still up by 10 pins. He needs to convert the spare. No mistakes at this point in the match. Dead flush. Now a strike gives him 226 and makes Richard Wolff get 2 strikes in the 10th frame to win. If he doesn't strike, if he gets 9 or 8, then Richard would only need 1 and a good count. We could have a tie match here then.
Beautiful shot.
Beautiful shot. Both of them were good shots. Richard Wolff has to take it one at a time. He needs 2 strikes in the 10th frame. Obviously, they cannot win the match if he doesn't strike here.
Gave it room.
Oh, what a shot. Oh, man.
4-pin whistled around the 7, and all Brad can do is grimace. Parker Bohn and Hugh Miller realize at this stage that they're in the title match.
And Richard is just, if we had a replay of him, he shouted something as he walked over. He was hot, and I don't blame him.
Great try for the win in the semifinal, but not to be tonight for Richard Wolff or Brad Snell.
Watch his reaction. He's walking over and sees that 7-pin. I don't know what he said, but
I don't think it was aw shucks. Excellent performance by those two gentlemen, but they finished third.
At Denny's, you get...
Final 2 teams, they stacked up 1 and 2 at the end of all the games here in Beaumont this week, and now they'll bowl for the title.
And the brothers have let the younger brother be the anchor. Younger by, what, 4 minutes?
4.5.
So Mark is going to throw his first shot on television. Says this is easy, Den.
Boy, was that a nice-looking toss.
The danger of starting the match like that is that you can put yourself in a position of being behind, even if you strike right away. I mean, if Bone and Miller come out and go boom, boom, you're behind by 10. So the pressure's on you right away.
He into the swing early. And a wall shot strike as the 6-pin was the last to leave on lane 14. Hugh Miller looking for the double and the early lead here in the championship game.
Like a bullet, a frozen rope right in there, whack.
course, Mike Scroggins is already in the Firestone Tournament of Champions, courtesy of that victory earlier this year in Sacramento. But if they win the doubles tonight, Mark will also be bowling at Riviera Lanes.
Soft speed. Is it going to fall? Oh, boy, that head pin came zipping around and went in front of the 7-pin. Got the message over there. Two proud parents there, huh?
Eddie and Kay trying to relax, but you know that's not a possibility tonight.
Oh, yeah, I know what it's like to watch my son Matthews many times in wrestling, my other son Mike in soccer.
Little hang-up thumper shot at the 7-pin, but nevertheless effective.
Well, it was intentional.
I know. Delay the roll, throw it straight.
Right. Knock it down.
Down by 10, Mark goes back to work. And you and I are both thankful that Mark decided to grow a mustache.
And wear a different shirt.
Could have been a tough night.
He's playing inside further than all of the other left-handers, and both of them are slower than the other left-handers.
Going through the checklist, saying to himself, did I not throw enough speed that time? Did I turn it too much?
It's that turn early situation that all of us face, all the bowlers in the world seem to face. You know, you're trying to stay behind that ball and turn it late. At the spare, the 4-7-8. Has it.
Both Mark and Mike had very illustrious collegiate careers.
Well, there's a big difference from college to pro then. And right now, you know, the spares are not going to win this match.
No, Parker and Hugh Miller are pretty revved up at this point. Both have excellent shots on their respective lanes. Absolute carbon copy of the strike in the first.
He said it carried one time. Why not try it again?
Oh, he's not playing it light.
Hey, he's just trying to hit the 1-2 with good revolutions on the ball and a good stroke. And if he hits that hit every time, he won't move. He's not going to move left or anything. He's going to stand in the same place and aim the same target.
You're right. For 4 in a row, Hugh Miller wasting very little time, likes this one, and whack, 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 4 strikes, and Bone and Hugh Miller are right now trying to run away.
And that's going to happen unless the Scroggins brothers can start putting some pressure on them and get some strikes. This match is going to be over in a heartbeat.
The advantage of winning the semifinal game and having a game to bowl on the championship round pair of lanes. Nice comeback shot for Michael, but he can't seem to get the 7-pin to fall.
One-game match, you know, carry is everything. If you're lined up to hitting the pocket, you're not carrying. It's hard to make that subtle adjustment to get that 7-pin out. And the frames slip by one by one.
Down by 34, and the team of Mike and Mark Scroggins need a strike right here.
Yeah, if they would win tonight, they could be the first brother combo to win PBA tournament.
Been 3 different brothers teams that have done it regionally. McCordick's won, Burton's won, and the Webbers won.
Yeah.
Looking for the 1-2. Found it, but it was a little high, and the 6-pin stands. It's interesting, you look at these two teams in the overview, both Mark and Mike throwing the ball a lot slower, hooking it a little bit more, and then Parker and Hugh Miller with a lot more velocity.
A lot more velocity and further outside, and they're playing the lanes further to left, out left of the first arrow, where both Scroggins, both of them are second arrow and right. We talked to Mark earlier, and he felt like he had, you know, he's playing him further than he had all week, but he felt like he could swing it more and get the ball back. He liked his reaction.
Will it be light? Oh, jeez. How did the 10-pin stand?
Well, again, the head pin went in front of the 10-pin and the 5-pin went behind it. Let's see if that's right. Just like that. Like a bullet, that 5-pin shot right behind it. Those phenolic pin decks, sometimes the pins slide faster on those. And with the pins with double voids in them now, they move over there in a hurry. I wouldn't want to be in the way of one of them.
What a game. The first two shots were much lighter than that, and he gets the wallies and strikes. This time he dices the rack up a little bit and can't get the 10-pin to fall.
That's why I told you don't move.
Oh, wait a minute. That ball was 2 boards left of where it was the last time around and hit the pocket.
Solid 7, but that at least gives the Scroggins a little glimmer of hope if they can just get something going.
Well, they seem to have a good time regardless of whether they win or lose.
Well, it's about time to look down at that little medal on the shoe and say, you know, this is not the end of the world if we lose, but hey, we're not out of this yet.
Yeah, a double here for them would change the complexion of the attitude of this match.
It would change their attitude more than anything else, Dan. But you can only do it 1 strike at a time. We bowl 5 frames. They've only had 1 strike. Mike has not had one yet.
He's due. Lets it out, brings it back, and the 7-pin stands again. Boy, that's getting redundant.
3 times in a row, and now he says something to Mark, you know. At that point in time, you make your ace shot, and it won't finish flush in the pocket. You're afraid to move, but he's going to have to do something because, you know, spares, again, are not going to win.
He's had plenty of practice at the 7.
This week on Special Demolition Cheap Seats, winner.
Oh, an excellent shot. So Mark with a strike on lane 13, a glimmer of hope for the Scroggins boys.
Well, they're almost in the situation now where they need to take it out the sheet. But you got to get 1 before you can get anything else. That's 1.
Parker has picked up the pace over the last month. Ooh, was that a good-looking shot right there?
He got that in, but with the good speed, it held pocket. We saw earlier when he didn't have the good speed that it made the nosedive right, and he broke up that awful-looking split that he had there. And Hugh Miller just throws every ball in the pocket, like we said at the top of the show.
Very consistent, very steady, very professional. Now he's going to go back and dry off just a little bit.
And the clock is ticking. You wouldn't think that Hugh Miller, who's a quick bowler, would ever have trouble with the 25-second clock.
He's having no trouble with the left-hand lane. A 44-pin lead. They are gliding to a PBA Doubles championship. They would like to become only the 2nd left-handed team to win this tournament.
Well, the only thing in their way now is Mike Scroggins, who's left 3 straight 7-pins on this right lane, has to strike now or it's all over.
If you ever needed it. Now's the time. Another bad break. And Michael just had one of those nights. Did nothing but hit the pocket, but couldn't get anything to fall.
And he seemed like he swung that one more out toward the channel, changed the angle a little bit, you know, made the bold move that he needed to do, but got the same result.
A tough night carry-wise. That's all it came down to.
In a 1-game match, many times that's the story. We see up there, you know, 5 9s that they have right there. All of those could have been strikes. 4 of those 5 were 7-pins.
There's a beautiful strike. So Mark gaining some valuable experience here tonight on ESPN.
That's about what it's going to be, though, because this match is all but over right now. Bone and Miller need to show up for the 9th and 10th frame, but they don't need to do too much.
Finished second a couple of years ago. Parker also finished second with Dwayne Fisher one year, and he told me tonight the third time will be the charm. I think we're going to win tonight. This. Parker says, yeah, I've been waiting for a break like that. Hughes says, there's the high five.
Parker gets something to roll into the 6 pin. See if we can see what it is. The pin came from the other side. I don't know what pin it was.
Hugh Miller finishes things off. Parker Bone and Hugh Miller, the winners of the PBA Beaumont Doubles Classic.
Well, we talked about it at the top of the show that they were the team to beat. They were in the ideal position. They had the experience, and they seemed to be a good combination between the two of them.
They just bowled sensational tonight.
I mean, hitting the pocket's the name of the game. That could have been 300 as easy as not. The 10 pin for Bone and a solid 7 for Miller. We could be looking at 300 on this next shot if those two had carried.
And a night to remember for Mike and Mark Scroggins. They'll be back maybe next year in this tournament. 268 for Hugh Miller and Parker Bone. They did it in fine fashion.
Can't do it much better.
This'll carry.
Oh,
not even. Look at Michael turns around and says, man, oh man, what a night. Second place for Mike and Mark. First place for Hugh Miller and Parker Bone the third.